I am Glorbog Striv, son of Calabok Striv, chieftain of the Striv clan of Bale. You have insulted my people for the last time, human. You have spat upon our ways and taken what rightfully belongs to our Farum brothers. You have blasphemed the ways of Mool. You have lived a life of weakness, and worst of all, you have pushed your bitchassery onto a once great city. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be nothing but a pile of my corn-infested shit. That is right, motherfuckers. It is the shit lord, the king of dung, the collector of the poopy. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when I will have all of your fecal matter. It is Buttquack here to share with you why ogres, my favorite species in Within the Ring of Fire, are fucking rad. I'd just like to start out with the comment. I understand not everyone feels this way. And I just want to say, if ogres are not your favorite species in Within the Ring of Fire, then you are not a man. You are a female. There's nothing wrong with that. Women in the hobby are fantastic. I think women are awesome role players. But the basic fact of the matter is you really cannot be a red-blooded American man who believes in truth and justice if you ever attempt to play any other species in Within the Ring of Fire, if they show up in your games at all, Ferums, Sarush, humans, Fraeens, Vigashes, Calfars, literally if your game contains anything other, if your game is not a house-ruled monotheistic world where Mool is the only god and ogres are the only people and it's just all ogres, actually take it back. It's not that you're not a man. You are not a human being. I do not respect you. In all seriousness, I love ogres. I think they're a fantastic species. I think Underwood, when he was making them, he was just thinking like, oh, I gotta find some way to just put me in this game. That's right, brother. It's the ogres. They're your main man. Coming at you, the Barbarian King. Because that's what they are. They are Underwood incarnate. A lot of great species in Kavagathale. Fantastic character ideas. But ogres are my favorite. I love Calfars. I love Fraeens. I love Vigashes. I love the Dirty Claymen, the humans. Shit. I even like Hibbins. But ogres, my favorite. So, what is an ogre in Within the Ring of Fire? Well, put very simply, an ogre is a massive, hairless, red man who is about as jacked as, more jacked than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but like twice as fat as Steven Seagal. So that's kind of the route you want to go. These big, muscular, fat guys. Not that that's what you want to play, but like just in the massive horde, just the commoners, ordinary ogre on the street. He's just going to be, hey, what's going on there, buddy? Oh, yeah. You know, that sort of guy. And they are a very interesting species because if you look at their stats, they take a -1 to presence, meaning for those in the know who actually know what the stats in this game mean, ogres are, they're not exactly great at social interaction, your average ogre, I mean, but they're super extroverted and they don't really give a shit. So they still interact socially as if they have like a +4 to presence. Like they think they do. Like they're walking into the middle of like the common thoroughfare, just butt ass naked, and they're like, yeah, how's everybody doing? Enjoying the view? That's just the sort of people they are. They're very irrational, very impulsive, very funny, very direct, very, very violent. That is the part of ogres that I can see maybe pushing people away, because they are absurdly violent. They are made by the god of violence. The book notes that like ogres, multiple ogres are born to an ogre mother. Like the babies are gonna try to eat each other. Like they're fucked up. They're genuinely very fucked up, but in the best way possible. And you're gonna find them in like Bale and in the underworld, really everywhere. They show up everywhere in Kvagathale, because they're very survivable, because they're big and strong and mighty, but they don't usually get to the top echelons of society, because they're too busy getting that ass. So they'll be your like laborers and dock workers. They're kind of like you're just sort of guy on the street, just common folk, lower class. And it's also because of the way they think, to be fair. They're like, hey, dude, I just got a fucking fat ass burger and a chick with a nice body. Woo! And that's pretty much all they need. I don't know why I'm doing that voice for ogres. I never do that voice for ogres in my game. They're always blah, 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 Russian. Oh, that kind of borosphere. Yes. But I guess you can also have a Seth Rogen ogre. I just ate a guy. But moving on, I'll explain a little why they're my favorite species. And why they should be yours too, bitch. They are big and strong and manly. Just these big, savage, tough guy brutes. They got the brawn. They got it going on. I can't think of another rhyme that sounds interesting, but they are fantastic. They are baller. They are big red ballers. And they're just 80s action hero to the max. You son of a bitch. And they go in for if you've ever watched Commando and they grip hands and then it zooms in on the bicep and they're just glistening with sweat for no reason. That's like ogres, but they're also not stupid. So they're these big, badass, manly brutes who are brutish. They are savage, but they're not dumb. They take no hit to intelligence. So you get ogre scholars. They're not living a very scholarly life. They know shit. They're probably still working as a dock worker because they either don't enjoy the scholarly life, they can't hold the job because they're too much of a thug, or they're just being discriminated against, and it's like, I have studied the histories of Bale's kings. I know the tales of warfare throughout the region of Thru, and yet the humans reduce me to nothing more than a common butcher. That sort of thing. So they're not dumb. Another reason I like them, they're extremely, extremely funny. And the good kind of funny, not, hoo-hoo, I'm Florbenfinger the gnome, and I fly on the wings of a Pegasus and say random things in silly words, and I shout racial slurs for no explicable reason. They're not that kind of stupid, kind of ridiculous player you don't want at your game, sort of funny. They're like actual getting into great scenarios, great situations, because they're irrational enough that they constantly make really bad decisions, but smart enough that they know how to get out of them, which that's peak comedy, in my opinion. Somebody getting into a shitty situation due to their own idiocy and then getting out of it due to their own idiocy. So you can do that a lot with ogres. Also, a lot of comments they make to, they'll be, like talking to the freaking party member. Hey, you may be a guy, but you got a nice ass. Just absolutely no filter, just saying what they want to say, making sort of comments about like, yeah, Sarush are almost as strong as ogres. I think that's really respectable. I mean, they're not as strong as ogres, but almost. Just getting in fights, just going up, somebody says something they don't like, just bam! Just absolutely going ham for no reason. But they do have a reason. It's because they're pissed. And that's funny. A big, giant, angry dude just going around being braggadocious, being loud, being proud, eating whatever he wants to eat, being fat bastard. It's funny. It just is. And another reason is they are the most playable species. Now, you may be thinking the way I've described them does not sound like it's going to be playable in every scenario. But that's because I have a specific way I like to play ogres. I think it's clear I like to play the big, manly brute. I like to play the ogre who's kind of a goofball, who's kind of a whack job. He's gluttonous, he's hedonistic. He wants to stick it in anything that moves. He is, he's really manly, but he's also a savage dork. I enjoy that. I really find that funny. But that's not all ogres are. Ogres can also be the very tragic sort of man trying to get past his rage. They can be something very serious that is in no way silly or funny or goofy. They can be something hardcore. They can be a sort of mighty man of war, metal warrior, that sort of thing. They can be your sort of cunning politician, this sort of low brutish cunning. And they're everywhere, dude. They're everywhere, and they worship a lot of different divinities. Talk about humans. Humans are in Kvagathale, but ogres are kind of the humans of Kvagathale because they're just everywhere. They're the common man. They're the common man everywhere they are, and they are everywhere. And they join up with Dazazea, they join up with Mool, they join up with Tahul, join up with whoever, and they make friends. And, they're one of the few species in Kvagathale where normally in Kvagathale, if your character is really, really religious, you're not hanging out with an individual and you're not working well with an individual who your religion opposes them. However, you can do that with a really religious ogre because it's personal. You can be this really religious Dazazayan ogre hanging out with this Kalfar and you're thinking, fucking Darkling. Don't like it one bit. But outwardly, you're interacting with the guy. You're like, we need to get this shit moved from point A to point B. Even though they're the most angry species, they can also be really fucking tolerant without being wusses about it. Without being like, well, I know my religion says this, but no, they can think it. And maybe later they can act on it, but for the time being, they're like, hey, this whole Dazazea thing, this whole Mool thing, this whole Tahul thing, it's a me thing, it's not a you thing. They're really fun that way. Ogres are not ideological maniacs. They want to live their lives. They want to have a good time, which makes them very playable. They have really interesting, deep intermoral conflicts. In a game I'm in, I play a Thave. That's a half ogre, half Kalfar. But his issue still applies here and would work for any ogre. He is a devout Moolite, a very religious Moolite. but he is also a very Machiavellian politician. And his faith in Mool has made him unpopular with many of the other political figures. He is a very popular populist figure. Many of the common people of the community love him. But, I mean, the cleric of Mool that he was working with kidnapped the virgin wife of one of the other politicians and tried to give her up to Mool. And he's still actively supporting this cleric who's on the lam right now. So people are like, what the fuck? So you have that inner moral conflict of, look, I need to make my political decisions. I need to be smart about this, but damn it, I love Mool. Mool is my god. And you can do that with an ogre too. But the other interesting moral conflict, the big one, look at that Neanderthal brow. The big one that people are really going to be intrigued by, and that I really see drawing people who aren't like me, who aren't sort of, shit-loving, poop-collecting doofuses. It's going to be that rage that some ogres love, and some ogres, the inner moral conflict is, how do I get more of this? How do I feed my anger? Well, for others, it's going to be trying to hold it off. I must find peace. This pain has shackled me for too long. It's going to be that in many cases for many ogres, and that's why so many of them turn to Dazazea, and that's cool. An ogre Dazazean cleric is much cooler than a Freyne cleric of Dazazea. I love Dazazea. I love Freynes. I would never play a Freyne cleric of Dazazea. That's boring. I would absolutely play the shit out of an ogre cleric of Dazazea, just trying to get that peace, just listening to people insult him instead of getting angry. He's just, yeah. And inside he's just really pissed off, but he's thinking there, hold it together, Clog. Hold it together. And he's just having that struggle. And, he probably fails sometimes. He probably smacks a sometimes. He probably beats him around. Maybe he kills a guy. And that really sucks for him. But then he keeps trying. He's like, oh no, what did I do? I let Mool take over. I can't let that happen again. And that's really intriguing. But then there's also other, inner moral conflicts that I don't see explored. The gluttony, for example. How are you trying to live your life as an ogre if you just gotta consume more? That's hard. That is a struggle. If you've ever known an addict, I mean, that's what severe gluttony in every aspect of your life is. You're addicted to everything. You're addicted to food. You're addicted to alcohol. You're addicted to drugs. You're addicted to violence. You're addicted to sex. That is your life. That's hard. You're going to suffer. And some ogres are going to want to get beyond that. Some ogres are going to say, you know what? I actually have ambition. I actually want to get somewhere in life. They keep getting distracted because they keep making that money. And they're like, the brothel's right there. And so they go to the brothel. So they struggle with that. And there's a lot of other inner moral conflicts that are fantastic and really fun to play out. They are also, they have cool politics. Very interesting politics. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, here we go. The Dung Collector thinks ogres have interesting politics. Well, tell us, butt quack, what exactly is so interesting about smacking someone down, about a pro wrestling match, about badass action, violence, talking populism, talking demagoguery, talking dealing with your problems in the ring, not the court of public opinion, baby, but the court of the guns. Ah! Yes, ogre politics is cool as fuck. In fact, I would say it is some of the most entertaining politics in Within the Ring of Fire. You have the Freyne politics talking about the ways of old, and we must adhere to our traditions. Or the Calfars, well, the economy requires that we, in fact, that I have to stab you in the back and then kidnap your children and raise them to be my personal slaves, blah, 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 blah. Or the frickin' Ferums. Now, right here in the book of frickin' Thalagar Thunder, it says here what we're gonna do. That's all fun, but nothing beats going up to your political opponent on the steps of Parliament and just BAM! Smacking that ass down into the ground. That's right. I'm the real chieftain of the Carr clan, brother, and I'm gonna run wild on you. That's right. That's what they're gonna be like, and that is awesome. But then there's ogres who sneak around in the background, because that's all happening on the ground level, but that's not sustainable. And these ogre elders know that, and they're cunning. So they pick big, strong ogres, big, strong guys. Yes, you will be the chieftain, I can tell. Let me help you. Let me give you advice on how you can defend that position. And they rule from the shadows. And they have their own fights against each other, and sometimes they do get into their rage. Sometimes that ogre elder, he's trying to hold his chieftain in line. His chieftain keeps fighting guys he shouldn't be fighting, keeps taking challenges, and then all of a sudden, BAM! You idiots! You do what I say! You stop this foolishness! You're gonna die! And then will you be chieftain? No! So maybe he finds another ogre, an ogre more obedient, and he replaces the chieftain. And then ogres dealing with other species is even more interesting, because you can see that pull and tug of easily being manipulated, but also you don't want to piss them off. Borosvir is the best character in any medium, period. And he's in the saga Beneath the Surface. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. That was very unprofessional. And now my dog is losing her shit because of a UPS guy. Anyway, Borosvir, From Beneath the Surface, best saga ever made. It needs a sequel, Lou. You know it does. But Borosvir is this ogre politician who's dealing with non-ogres. And he uses that intimidation. He throws that weight around. He's a bully boy. He does dirty deeds, done dirt cheap, back alley fuckery. Would you calm down? I said calm down. She thinks she's better than me. She probably is right. But Borosvir doing all this cool stuff in the background, having to play the Calfar game, but also playing his own game, playing the ogre game, playing the Ferrum game, and approaching it from that thuggish, tough guy, ogre approach. Not going to take your shit, but also he has to take your shit, but he's going to do it in an ogre way. And the final two reasons why they're my favorite species is their really cool morality. The sort of ogres, they don't care about mercy and peace and love and kindness. They're not a little Christian soy boy like I am. They're all about loyalty and about warfare and battle and violence and honor. Listen to a Man-O-War song. Basically, Man-O-War songs, Brothers of Metal, those bands, that's ogre morality. The song Swedish Pagans by Sabaton, that's ogre morality. And that's just kind of interesting. That's just kind of cool. It may not be very good, as in virtuous, but I tell you what, it is fun as hell to listen to and watch and really get sympathy. I don't know why I did that. I need these to see. But a few concepts you can go with for an ogre, and these work for catalysts, these work for embers, antagonists, someone for your wife to have fun with when you're away. And they include, like there's the traveling druid of Mool, and he's got this like hood going on, and he worships the dominion of violence, and he just, and he seems calm. He's just, the hood, it kind of covers his eyes, and you just see his mouth. He's just, but then you're sort of talking shit. You're over here in his head. He just slowly, what did you say? Speak again, human. Go ahead. And then he brings out the fist of rage, and that fist glows red, and he eats that heart. That can make a great antagonist in an adventure game. Just don't even have him like set up in the plot as a whole. Like just the players, like they're just going to get a MacGuffin or something, and they just run into a random traveling druid of Mool, and he fucks their shit up. You should win. He doesn't kill them. Don't be that guy who just, out of nowhere, here's something that kills your characters. But just this ogre, he comes in and he just beats the shit out of them, takes their shit, and then he's gone. And they just dealt with this horrifying motherfucking druid who just rolled on them. And that can put the fear in them, and then that can create a thing like maybe they're looking for that guy. Really only works with mature players, though, because I can see that making a lot of little baby boys angry. Another concept is the corrupt and evil but lovable businessman. Borosphere, basically. This is your... you want to play an ogre kind of like Donald Trump. You want to play an ogre kind of like Boss Tweed. Kind of like a more violent version of Bill Clinton. Kind of like, there's... You come to me on the date of Mool's Day, and you seek out violence by my hands. You have a problem you want me to deal with. I'm happy to do so for a prize. That can be really fun. And what makes them the protagonist is how evil they are. It's not like, well, they're evil, but here's a few good things about them. No, they're that sort of just, blue moon in your eye, Sopranos theme song, Tony Soprano. They're an absolute slime ball, but they got that certain honor to them. They handle their problems. They're not a hypocrite. They said they were going to choke out Big Golgog. If Big Golgog didn't get the money in, guess what? Big Golgog didn't get the money in. And guess what? Big Golgog got choked out. No second chances, bitch. No second chances up in the Hargis clan. That's right. So that's very fun to play. Another one is the Barbarian Chieftain. The Conan the Barbarian. There's a name I'm thinking of that fits this concept. Underwood, baby. That's the way you want to play ogres. That's the way you want to play a badass, heroic ogre. Just this, now I tell you what, I'm the chieftain of this clan, brother, and I'm gonna bring the pain. That's right, your main man, Androck Wog. If you can tell, I'm a big fan of Underwood. And he is absolutely the kind of whack job that I would base an ogre off of. An absolute goon, absolute lovable goon. That makes a great barbarian chieftain. A great ember. I think that makes a great good guy, like quest giver. If you want to have like a wise quest giver, why not make him like a kind-hearted ogre barbarian chieftain? that you meet. And he's like, well, I could kill you, but I'm in a good mood. So here's what I want you to do. And you get threatened, and he means it. He means it. He'll kill you if you fuck up. But you do a good job, and you come back, and hot damn, ogres are grateful. They give you a good reward. So that makes a really interesting character. Another one is a Dazazayan ogre on a quest for absolution. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, kind of your classic inner struggle. I kind of talked about this earlier with their inner sort of moral conflict. But on the other end of that is the savage cultist. And this makes a fantastic villain. Take the cunning of Ahriman, of a warlock, or perhaps of a Jira, or Kaihea, or Loptif, or some dark, twisted, eldritch divinity of that sort, and then add in that ogre savagery. And on the back alleys, in the streets at night, behind Bugalug's butchery, you can hear the screams of the damned, being sacrificed by the great red man with orbs for eyes, as he calls out to his dark masters. So that can be a really interesting villain. If you play it right, that can be an interesting catalyst, though that's a bit difficult. Another one is the kind lumberjack, and the Nijakthian, the looks like it's a job for me. And he's kind of an arrogant motherfucker, but he's got a good heart. He's going in there, chopping down the trees, and then some Freen runs by. Skullgog! Oh no! The barbarians, they've come to raid our town! Don't you worry, lass. I'm a guy. Don't you worry, young man. I will stop this unrighteous, evil tomfuckery. And he walks in with the big axe on his shoulder. Shunk. And he's just going ham. And then the last one, kind of mentioned it, the barbarian chieftain, the Conan-style heroic barbarian. I think that's really fun. I don't think that needs much explaining, but the sort of adventurous, smart guy who's a fighter, and he's tough, and he's dealing with those snake cultists, because there really do be snake cultists within the Ring of Fire. They're called Mother Jurgens, and they need their ass sorted out. So a few do's and don'ts with ogres, because this is really important for any species, the do's and don'ts. So I'm going to list them off here. I have them written down. This isn't improv like my intro video. First of all, do play ogres as often irrational and impulsive, but don't play ogres as often stupid and dim-witted. An ogre can be stupid, an ogre can be dim-witted. You shouldn't feel like you should never play them like that, but you should not look at 30 ogres and think they're all idiots. That shouldn't be your player's experience. Your player's experience should be that they're all a little bit impulsive. They're all a little irrational. They all think, think about in real life, the flat earthers who have a really well thought out explanation as to why the earth is flat. That's like the ogre mindset. No, dude, seriously, hear me out. And they just say what they want to say. They think what they want to think, but they're not dumb. Another thing, do play ogres as violent, dominant assholes who want to control people. Don't play them as stupid, aggressive madmen. They're not running through the streets just raping everyone and killing everyone and eating everything. They're not... No, they are, I'm better than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm taller than you. I'm smarter than you. Bam! You ain't gonna talk back to me, bitch. They're that big guy who wants to be in charge, who's arrogant, who thinks he's better than you, who's gonna prove it, who's not gonna admit to the bigger guy. He may cower at the bigger guy, but the moment the bigger guy's gone, I could fucking take that guy. And maybe he will take that guy. Who knows? So they're not crazy idiots, but they are dominant, violent assholes who use violence to assert dominance all the time, even to people they like, especially to people they like, honestly. Next up, do play ogres as amoral frat bros with little respect for others. Don't play ogres as completely degenerate demons who desire only rape and brutality. First of all, who wants to play with you if you're doing that? Who wants to play with you if your character concept is just Jeffrey fucking Dahmer? If your character concept is Jeffrey Epstein, nobody wants that. That's not fun. That's not funny. You can't give that character sympathy. That's not interesting. That's just weird and makes everyone uncomfortable. But I tell what people do want to play with and what is really fun to play, kind of misogynistic, beer-drinking asshole who's kind of, loud-mouthed and, yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's get that bread, bro. Who just really wears his feelings on a sleeve and slaps your girl's ass. Depending on who you're playing with, I would be careful with that bit. But that can be fun. And if you have mature, responsible players who are respectful to each other, especially if you have female players at the table, I know I joke around, but you really want to be respectful to women at the game table, just like in any other scenario. And you don't want to be making them uncomfortable. You don't want to be a dick and say, well, I'm playing an ogre, so you have to deal with it. You don't want to be that guy, but you can play it in a way, if you have a rapport, maybe you have a really good rapport with her and you can play it however you want. But, you be thoughtful about it. Play the big, loud-mouthed, brash frat bro. But again, don't play some awful demon. They're not Acherai. And do play ogres as myopic, short-sighted, and focused on the here and now. Don't play ogres as illiterate fools lacking any ambition and incapable of political thinking. They are capable of political thinking. They are ambitious. They are cunning. It's just that all that cunning and all that ambition and all that political thought goes into one single moment right now. So they are thinking about, how am I going to get what I want? But they're not thinking, how am I going to get what I want down the line, though some do, and those are very interesting characters. They're thinking, how do I get what I want right now? What do I do? Do I use diplomacy? Do I smack this guy down? Do I intimidate him? Do I trick him? So they do have that mindset, and they can do politics in a very interesting boom, 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 boom way. You normally can't have a fast-paced political game. You can with ogres. You can have a very fast-paced political game, and it can be pretty great. Finally, do play ogres as passionate, outgoing extroverts who may have bad social skills but don't know it. Don't play ogres as cave beasts shunning society. Don't be the get out of my cave. The light, it burns. Don't play that. That's funny. You can do that with a Morat, but you'd also need a little something more, so they're not just a one-note character. But, they're brash, they're extroverted. The book says they're extreme extroverts. In fact, I think that's why they have a -1 to presence, because they just walk up to you, they're like, dude, I just took the most massive shit you've ever seen. Dude, literally, it was like 6 pounds. You gotta come here, dude. Dude, come look at this shit I took. Everybody, I just took a massive shit. They're that sort of guy that just will tell you everything he's been doing. And he's super arrogant. And he's the guy who's like, yeah, there's probably like 100 ways I could kill you with just my thumb. I mean, not that I'd do it, but I could. So I really like ogres. Those are why I like them. Those are some concepts. Those are some do's and don'ts. This video is long as fuck. I meant it to be like 20 minutes, but I don't really care. I'll make long videos. Why not? Why the hell not? Yeah, I'll end this here. Just list your favorite species in the comments, and I'll reply to you on how you would likely die in Kvegathale if you were one of them. If I were an ogre, I'd definitely try to seduce a female Mihangi, and I would die. But there's a chance, a slight chance, that I would die very, very happy.